Jacqueline Cristian versus Iga Swiatek. Match preview and predictions. Jacqueline Cristian, Romania, versus Iga Swiatek, Poland. After a similar journey to the third round of Roland Garros as she had in Melbourne, struggling initially in the first round but then securing a solid victory in the second, Poland's Iga Swiatek is set to face Romanian Jacqueline Cristian. Having easily defeated Emma Raducanu in her second match, Swiatek is looking to continue her strong form. Cristian's appearance at this stage has surprised many. Expectations were leaning towards seeing Marta Kostyuk here instead, but the Ukrainian player suffered a shocking defeat to Sara Belek. The 26-year-old Cristian seized the opportunity, overcoming the 19-year-old Czech in 3 sets during the second round, and now, having equaled her personal best at a Grand Slam, she prepares to challenge Swiatek however she can. Jacqueline Cristian. In fact, Cristian could have faced Swiatek at the Australian Open already, but in the third round in Melbourne, where she set her record at a Grand Slam, she lost in 3 sets to German lucky loser Eva Liss, 6-4, 3-6, 3-6. Interestingly, Cristian had already faced another lucky loser earlier in the tournament, defeating Croatia's Petra Martic in a tiebreak of the deciding set. However, the Romanian expended a lot of energy in her match against Lucia Bronzetti, 7-5, 7-5, leaving her with little left against Liss. As for Eva, she too was exhausted, receiving a battle from Swiatek, 0-6, 1-6. By the way, that was the third bagel in a row for Iga. It's likely that Cristian wouldn't have had much of a chance against Swiatek in Melbourne either, given the hard courts would have suited her powerful, tall style better than the slow clay. Now, Cristian has a match against the favorite on one of the tournament's top courts. Even a loss could be beneficial, at least in terms of media attention. An ideal scenario would be for her to appear on court dressed as Count Dracula, reminiscent of her performance in Transylvania 4 years ago, though perhaps many have forgotten that. Back then, Cristian triumphed over Slovenia's Kaja Juvan in a 3-set match that lasted nearly 3 hours, where she made a break while trailing 4-5 in the second set and saved 2 match points in the tiebreak. This showcases her endurance and strong mentality. In the first round in Paris, Cristian defeated Australian Kimberly Burrell, whom she could have played in Melbourne had it not been for Eva Liss, in a match that drew little interest, even with the bagel, 6-1, 6-0. Although those 13 games stretched over an hour and 20 minutes. Burrell's first serve completely failed her, and so did the second, resulting in more unforced errors than winners, a complete mismatch. In her second round match, Cristian stumbled in the first set, while the diminutive Sara Belek, who is nearly a head shorter than Cristian, had the energy and wasn't bothered by her taped right thigh. The 19-year-old lefty routinely put her opponent in difficult positions with her cross-court shots and drop shots. However, after losing 1-6 in the first set, Cristian adapted in the second and third sets, managing to reach Belek's drop shots, hitting harder to push Sara off the court, and adding her own dropped shots -6-3, 6-3. Although the petite Czech girl was memorable and impressive in her gameplay, the fact remains that physical prowess can triumph over talent. Iga Swiatek. Speaking of strength and talent, the same applies to Iga Swiatek. While one could endlessly, and perhaps futilely, debate her current physical shape and psychological status, the undeniable fact is that Swiatek has a champion's mentality, and if her functional readiness matches, she stands a solid chance at claiming her 4th consecutive Roland Garros title, a record in the Open era. In the second round in Paris, the Polish favorite breezed past Emma Raducanu, echoing her performance in Melbourne, where she now leads their head-to-head in WTA encounters 5-0. Undoubtedly, Raducanu put up a fight, but with only 60% of her first serves in and a mere 35% of points won on the second serve, and only 8 winners throughout the match compared to Iga's 4 times that amount, she simply had no chance. The only thing Swiatek failed to do was to serve up another bakery special, as she did in Melbourne, when she allowed Raducanu just 1 game. Nonetheless, a score of 6-1, 6-2 means that she has surrendered only 9 games in 2 matches, no more than 3 per set. And she is clearly on track for a repeat of her Melbourne performance, which implies 2 more decisive victories ahead, and then perhaps some alternatives. If Raducanu had a healthy back and sturdy wrists and hadn't endured a grueling three-set match in the first round, where she even had to take a medical break, perhaps she could have competed with Swiatek, though it would be more likely at Wimbledon or the US Open or next year in Melbourne. However, not on clay, and certainly not in her current condition. Meanwhile, the defending champion in Paris boasts a 23-match winning streak at the tournament, with an overall record of 37-2. Players like Casper Ruud and Jannik Sinner, interviewed by Tennis Channel and Tennis.com for the Expert Picks special project in the Roland Garros media zone, believe Swiatek has every chance to claim victory. More specifically, Sinner sees Iga as the main favorite based on her movement and activity, while Ruud is hoping for a final showdown between Swiatek and Coco Gauff. Head-to-head history. Previously, Cristian and Swiatek have not crossed paths, neither in the WTA Tour nor in juniors, although there is only a 3-year age difference between Jacqueline and Iga, so theoretically they could have played somewhere, but they haven't. Jacqueline Cristian versus Iga Swiatek. Match prediction. Bookmakers have significantly tilted the odds in favor of the Polish favorite, which is logical given Swiatek's performance at this year's Grand Slam. However, a 182 centimeters tall, long-armed, and resilient Cristian, unlike Raducanu at the moment, may attempt to put up a fight against the favorite. Were it not for Cristian's inconsistency in long rallies and modest returns, one could entertain the notion of catching a higher coefficient, believing that the match might stretch out. But faith is a very irrational concept. One can believe that the Romanian tennis player might once again take to the court dressed as Count Dracula. What a pity there's no option to come out accompanied by a gypsy ensemble with a trained bear. Yet reality can align with expectations or turn out to be entirely different. But if we believe that Cristian will try to hold her serve with everything she has, why not give the fighting Romanian a favorable edge?